Manus flat on the canvas. We are ready to rock and roll. Second round of action. There is a cut on Manus.
Yeah. Jesus.
Martial arts chat.
My man B-Hop got dropped out the ring last night. I need a little judo baby. I need me a little judo baby, and let's do it, Ron. Let's hit me up.
You see what telling me that you got a face for radio.
That's got a face for radio.
That's nice.
Martial arts chat.
Hello, welcome to Martial Arts Chat Podcast. The Roundtable is back, and it's been far too long. We're getting set to look ahead to UFC 239, massive card next weekend, headlined by the light heavyweight champion, the GOAT man, Johnny Bone Jones, who defends against Thiago Santos. Later in the show, we'll be answering fan questions. Thank you for those who got in touch. Remember, continue hitting me up during International Fight Week. It's facebook.com/martial arts chat, or on Twitter, I'm at martial arts chat as well. Still not on the Instagram, still lazy on that department, but I'm working on it, guys. Before I introduce tonight's panel, just a quick shout out to the sponsors. A1 Fight Gear. A1 Fight Gear use the latest cutting edge boxing gloves for professional and amateur fighters, gym enthusiasts and kickboxers. So local and national gyms in the UK, do yourselves a favour, check out a1fightgear.com. If you want to get into shape, get back into shape, or just keep trimming the fat off, go to beastgear.co.uk, and if you do that and use the coupon code MartialArtsChat, you'll save 15% off any purchases there for go sliders, straps, barbell pads, different strength and conditioning programs at different levels to suit your needs. So beast your goals with beastgear.co.uk. We're also sponsored by Feel Supreme. FeelSupreme.co.uk offer CBD oil and natural nutrition. They will assist your diet, lifestyle, natural supplements and complementary services such as yoga, mind coaching and weight cutting programs. I've just tried the old CBD oil myself. Our friends over there sorted me out this week, man. Yeah, it feels like it does the business for the old inflammation, but I mean, I don't know if they've got flavours for this shit because it's fucking disgusting, man. It tastes so bad. Maybe that's not a good plug, but yeah, check it out, man. It's definitely helping me with the old I'm getting the old knees now for jiu-jitsu, so I would definitely recommend it. But finally, also sponsored by World of Martial Arts Television. Womo.tv produces, finds, acquires, commissions and presents all you ever wanted to know about martial arts. Discover techniques, exercises and forms from your favourite martial arts and explore martial art philosophies, health, culture and spirituality. So, to the panel here this evening, delighted to have them all back on, and to this gentleman, of course, firstly, it's from Purely MMA, it's my man, Mr. Matthew Penny. Matthew, how you doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing well, mate. Welcome back to the podcasting world, mate. It's been far too long, so I hope you're feeling refreshed and ready to get back into it. Huge card to come back into, so looking forward to it, mate.
Definitely, thanks, man. Appreciate it. From ifoxwithjuice podcast, it's my man, Mr. Victor Vargas. Victor, how you doing, my friend?
What's going on, John? Doing all right here, doing all right. I'm glad to be back.
Pleasure to have you on, brother. And finally, from the main event, my brother from another mother, Mr. Kevin Jones. Kev, it wouldn't be a John Jones pay-per-view without you. How you doing, sir?
Man, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling live. Yes, absolutely. John Jones and me, we are keeping busy this year, so you might hear me more so than not. If he keeps fighting, I will keep appearing.
That's it, man. And some predictions, if you please, gents, for this one. Let's start with the welterweight division. It's the awesome wrestling, of course, of Ben Askren, and he gets the old the 3-piece and soda, Jorge Masvidal. I do wonder how it goes down, but I've kind of racked my brains over the weekend on this one, and I think wrestling of Askren takes it for me. But let's hear the panel thoughts. We'll start with Victor on this one. Victor, how does it play out for you, amigo?
Yeah, well, thank you for coming to me first, man. But yeah, this is a fight I've long awaited. I don't know. It seems like everybody's been happy, was excited for Askren's UFC debut. I wasn't so much because, I didn't know who they'd pair him up with, but I didn't think he was going to do that good. And then the Robbie Lawler fight happened, and then he both won and lost in the same fight. And yeah, I didn't know what to make of all that. But Jorge Masvidal has been one of my favorite fighters for a while now. I was on him before the whole 3-piece and a soda stuff. And the only thing with him is that it's kind of hard to know if he's going to perform because it reminds me a lot of the Damian Maia fight. He was on a hot streak, doing good, and then, I thought he was going to beat Maia. And it was a close fight, but, he kept getting taken down. But the thing is, he had no problems with Maia. And Masvidal is not a dude that you want to fuck with. If you piss him off, I don't think he's going to become Cerrone. I think he's going to become Anderson Silva,
Yeah. That backstage fight as well, man. Here in the UK, in London, right? That was the one we
Leon Edwards.
Yeah, man. Superb.
Yeah. Yeah, man. The thing with Masvidal is like I've seen these things with Askren, these interviews. He's saying like, "Oh, they need to keep that idiot away from me." Like he's gonna basically saying he's gonna fuck it all up. He's gonna start fighting in the back, and he's casting him out like he's some kind of thug or something. And he's just like some dumb, street dude. But the thing is that he is a street dude and he doesn't play that shit. And this is the thing with Askren is like he's an Olympian, so he thinks like that's all the toughness he needs. It's like he's obviously hardworking, but Masvidal's got a different fire from him, man. And it's like Joey Diaz says, that immigrant mentality, man, that shit's for real.
Yeah, man. I bet it is.
With Askren, I swear to God, this is just a random side note, but after that Robbie Lawler fight, my girlfriend's also from Missouri. They're both from Missouri, and after that fight, I seriously considered breaking up with her, man, just by proxy. But that's beside the point. Talking about the fight, I got Masvidal in this. Yes, this is a lot of me hoping he wins, but I seeing how good his boxing has improved, especially in the Till fight. If he stays to that game plan, if he kind of tries to avoid so many kicks and just goes with the boxing he was doing in the Till fight, I think he can hurt him. I mean, I'm gonna say it's a knockout because I think it's a tough proposition to say he'll win a decision. But he was also saying he wants to take him 3 rounds and finish him at the end of the fight just to prove a point. But I'll just say he knocks him out in the second round, maybe.
Second round knockout, interesting, mate. Kev, what about you? Who have you got working out the victor here?
I'm kind of like you, John. When I visualize this fight in my head, I just see Ben Askren dominating with his wrestling. I mean, and I don't think so much of him getting him on the ground, just controlling him where he's at and where the fight's taking place, and then taking him down when he needs to grind him out. I'm not trying to downplay Masvidal, his ground game, but I mean, Ben Askren, man, is a big, heavy dude. I mean, he got that weird kind of body shape that's not conventionally what you'd see on a great fighter. And I do think he's going to get his comeuppance. But looking at Masvidal's record and looking at his losses, I don't think he's the guy to do it, man. And I do love the dude, but I think a lot of his style will play into Askren. Yeah, I don't think, and I think he wants it too much, man. I think he wants to whoop this dude's ass so bad that he's not going to be able to be as disciplined as we've seen him be at times. I think he will resort to coming forward and just wanting to put a hand on him. And I think that plays into what Ben Askren wants to do. So I think Askren got really lucky in that Lawler fight, to be honest with you, man. I think Lawler would have had his number.
Oh, yeah. Spiked on his head and then that ground and pound. Brutal, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was just, he made a momentary lapse in judgment. We've seen it before. I mean, remember when Chris Weidman was deciding to throw that whatever kind of, hook kick or whatever the hell you'd call that kick that he threw on.
I called it shit. Yeah,
I mean, it's some lazy ass bullshit. I've seen my 7-year-old throw a better kick than that. But yes, I mean, shit happens. And I do think that Askren is nowhere as good as he thinks that he is, and that some other people think that he is, and he'll catch a beating, but it's not going to be in this fight.
Fair play, man. Finally, Matthew, how about you? Your thoughts on this welterweight contest?
I think it's a fight that will sneak under the radar a lot, and I think that's going to happen with Jon Jones on the card. Obviously, Masvidal coming off that stunning KO of Till. Askren undefeated, but in that Lawler fight, he was hurt, man. And I personally thought for a second he was out. I thought the arms went limp when Lawler was ground and pounding him. Yeah. I thought he was out, and I think maybe another referee may have jumped in if they were a bit more eager. So, like Kev, I thought Askren was lucky. And we come off of that fight still not really knowing how Askren can handle like a long UFC fight. We don't know because it wasn't a definitive end, So I think, he dived in early. He got a beating. He got hurt. Against Masvidal, will it happen? Again, like Kev, I don't think so. Masvidal is one of these guys who sort of UFC builds up and he has quite a lot of big fights on his record. He beat some of them occasionally, like, Cerrone was a good win, Till obviously, but then he'll lose to Maia, he'll lose to Stephen Thompson. So I don't think Masvidal's the guy to win. I think we will have a clearer picture if Askren is as good as he's built up to be after this fight. So I think Askren will win, and I think it will be pretty dominant. But yeah, I don't think Masvidal's the guy to beat him, but I don't think Askren will be this Khabib-like figure in the future. I don't think he will be. I think somebody will stop him, but it won't happen in this fight.
It's interesting what you're saying about like a Khabib. I know what you mean when you say that, but a lot of people just think wrestling and mauling go hand in hand, and it's kind of like when I think of Askren's wrestlers, kind of what you're saying, Kev. Like, you know, get a waist lock, get a body lock, press against the cage, and you know, do the takedown in his own good time, make it his fight, and styles make fights, and that's, I can't see it any other way, man. I see Masvidal getting frustrated as the fight wears on, and Askren wearing on him. I hope not. I hope there's something more interesting than that, let's say. But it's that's why we love MMA, man. I mean, it's Christ, it nearly caused a breakup in Victor's house. So yeah, I mean, anything can happen in the old mixed martial arts world. But I mean, so many great fights on this card, and I'm sure we'll get into like Sanchez and Kay's, who we got, Rocco, Blankovic, all of this, and sort of fan questions. But for the time being, let's look at co-main event. Because we've got obviously Holly Holm here. I mean, Holly Holm. When I look at Holly Holm and Chris Cyborg, the sort of the flavours going into that fight was technique versus power, and there's the way the UFC, from what I've seen, the way the package in this fight it's very similar, but Cyborg and Nunes. They're completely different fighters, man. And Nunes' power seems to have come later in her career. I didn't see it against Kat Zingano. I didn't see it until, you know, probably Ronda Rousey. Maybe I was just a bit ignorant, but I mean, no doubt she has got power. We saw what she did to Cyborg, but I still think it makes for an interesting fight, and I think Holm could have a number here, man. I don't know. I want to hear you guys' thoughts. Let's start with Kev on this one. Kevin, Nunes versus Holm. Who you got, sir?
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I think this is definitely a different type style matchup because of what Amanda Nunes brings to the table. You know, kind of when you think of Holly Holm, you think of her circling back and catching people with counters, you know, and kind of fighting her fight. Well, I mean, what Amanda Nunes has been doing to people, and that shit can't happen, you know. I just don't see it any other way besides Amanda Nunes just bulldozing through her like she's been doing to everybody. I mean, it is quite a run that she has been on, and I don't see any reason why she should let up. I mean, Holly Holm, you know, she's lost 4 out of her last 6 fights. She's 2-4 in her last 6, and you know, 3 of those were at featherweight. But I don't know, man. And she's getting up there in years. You think? And I was thinking about this in the. I didn't ever mention it, but in the Masvidal and Ben Askren fight, I mean, that 19-0 that Askren's holding, that was a pretty easy 19-0, man. He cruised through that. You look at Masvidal and all these fights and all these wars that he's had, and the same thing with Holly Holm, man. You take into account the 30-something fights that she had boxing, and then add in what she's done and the age that she's at. And let's not forget that it wasn't too long ago that she kind of had one foot out the door, and I'm not going to do this forever, and wants to have kids eventually and shit. And Amanda Nunes, obviously, you know, not looking to have children in the traditional sense, and she's focused very much on fighting, and it has shown. She is definitely as peak as any athlete I've ever seen compete in the cage at the moment. And this is a fight. Honestly, Holly Holm shouldn't even be in this fight. You know, the rankings and the way they're kind of doing this is a joke, but they're trying to make the most money and put a name in there. I don't think she belongs in there, and I think it will show, man. Even as much as you want to kind of wishful thinking and think, that she pulls off this other upset, makes her fight her fight. Nah, man, this chick is all going to be all over her from the opening bell, and it is not going to last long, just like the last several times we've seen her in the cage.
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying, man. A lot of people have said that to me as well. You know, how does she deserve a title shot? But I remember, Kev, and I'm sure you do too, when Holm got the shot against Ronda Rousey, a lot of people were like, well, how she said, I think she had like 1, maybe 2 fights in the UFC, and they both went to decision. They weren't exactly setting the heather alight, and it was like, well, how does this girl get in just because of her boxing credentials? But then we saw what she did to Ronda. They're obviously completely different fighter, Nunes to Ronda, but I don't know, man.
And that was the deal. I mean, she was brought in specifically to be a setup fight for Ronda Rousey. They were running out of names. They were just throwing everybody at her, kind of like what they're doing to Jon Jones now. And yeah, so you know that's that. it's definitely a name recognition deal that's getting her this fight, man. I can't see it any other way. I mean, she hadn't fought in the division in a while and hasn't had an impressive record, but I could be wrong, man. Maybe she'll surprise everybody. She's definitely done it before.
That's true, man. Yeah, man. She's got that on her side. Victor, how about you? Nunes versus Holm, and new or and still for you, sir?
To keep it short for right now, I'll just say and still. There's many things that I actually think are in Holly's favor, but it's not so much that there are things that are in her favor. It's just plenty of unknowns. She's coming off a long layoff. One of the longest in her career, but given her age, I think that could be of benefit to her. Of course, Nunes is coming off that spectacular KO of Cyborg where she got hit like once, so I mean she didn't really take damage in that. She's coming back down in weight. That's another thing that I think may play a factor in favor of Holly. Holly's gone out to 145 a few times now, and she's always seemed to be good with weight, whether it's at 35 or 45. And I don't know, Nunes, who knows how disciplined she was. I know she takes it seriously, but given some of her cardio issues in the past, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe something goes wrong. She has a tough weight cut. I mean, God help her if she doesn't make weight, then that's going to be all kinds of problems.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually going to write a story about this later on in the week. I haven't done my tape study or anything yet, so this is just kind of things I'm knocking off of the top of my head here. But yeah, what you were saying earlier, John, is that Nunes wasn't really a knockout puncher. She's basically always been a knockout puncher. She was always just really reckless. She knocked out Julia Budd in Strikeforce and knocked her like out cold, but she was just winging shots. Yeah, she was kind of like very Diego Sanchez-ish in her strike. Right. Yeah. But now the thing is, the crazy thing about Nunes is that she doesn't look like very imposing. She's not even that muscular, but she has a very lanky frame. And I think that's the main reason of why she's able to put girls out like that, is that she's learned how to use her reach. Right. She always hits girls, at that snapping part of her punches and kicks. And she's learned to use that reach very well. Holly's a long fighter, but she, trudges forward with those punches, those 1-2 high kick combos that are very predictable. One thing I want to say for Holly is that she really surprised me in the Megan Anderson fight, and it shows that she can grapple. It's a different story with Nunes because she's a black belt, so that's not going to be an easy task. But if she can implement some kind of clinching, some kind of dirty boxing against the fence, if she learned what she did against the Megan Anderson, the one thing I said after that fight is like the whole "you can't teach an old dog new tricks." Well, that's bullshit because Holly learned very well. Yeah. But it's gonna take a lot of discipline for her to do that. If she can do something like that, she could win. But that's basically it. Because pure kickboxing match, she's not gonna win. Pure grappling match, she's not gonna win. And as of to this point, I haven't seen anything of her to prove that she can do it. So by default, I'm just gonna have to go with Nunes for now. I might change my pick later on in the week or in my podcast, but as of right now, that's what I'm thinking.
Fair play, man. Finally, Matthew, your thoughts on the women's bantamweight title on the line. What's your thoughts, sir?
I think Nunes will retain. Holmes had one big win against Rousey, obviously, but since then she's 2-4, lost 2 title fights. Granted, it's not at this weight, but since then Nunes has shot down all the doubters. In my mind, she's the best women's mixed martial artist, and I know that people were sort of chucking that label at Ronda Rousey, and then suddenly, she dipped hugely in her career. And I think Nunes may be getting to that point already where, she is the champ, and she's kind of getting that label by a lot of people now. So I think this one will be a good one to see if she can overcome that title now and then just keep going as she's been going. Holm is a big name, and she's quite easy to get behind because, I don't know, like using a pro wrestling term, she's a very babyface kind of character. She's very, work hard and things will happen for you. But I just can't see her beating Nunes. Nunes is so intense. She'll just walk forward, and she's just beating Chris Cyborg, who was the most devastating name in the whole of women's MMA in the world, probably. So it's hard, especially after a win like that, to go for Holm. I don't want to. I almost don't want to say it, but she's almost creeping into sort of overrated territory because her record recently has been so bad, and yeah, it's tough to go against Nunes here. It really is. If home, she's great at kickboxing. She's great with her kicks. I mean, she could really weaken Nunes if she can keep distance and get the kicks going. But I think Nunes is so intense at walking forward and pushing it down and breaking it down. I think Nunes will get the win here.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to concur that I think it will be and still. But one of the things that just came to mind, and Victor, I want to get your thoughts on this, is if we just cast our minds back to the Cyborg fight, and Cyborg sort of initiated that Diego Sanchez, right, we're swinging here, and you saw a little smile on Nunes' face, like, oh yes, we're going to war, and it was just like toe-to-toe, and albeit it was more refined technique. I'll take that from Nunes, and then obviously devastating technique when she just face planted Cyborg. But I do wonder if Holly Holm is on the outside, the footwork, skipping around like she likes to do, popping Nunes with a jab. If she's constantly getting hit, how do you think Nunes responds to that? Do you think she will just get frustrated and want a war?
I don't think that she's going to get frustrated. I have no doubt that Nunes is going to get hit. I'm thinking it might be more low kicks or body kicks. I'm sure she might even take a head kick. I don't think it'll hurt her, but I think at distance she's going to encounter a few problems. I haven't looked at the reach. I'd like to see the reach to know, because I know she's shorter than Holly, but as far as the reach goes, she's got to be equivalent to her, if not surpassing her. But
I'd never noticed that. Like, she must be deceptively long. Then maybe I'm just not seeing it.
She's very long. Yeah. She's very long. She reminds me of like Chris Weidman. A lot of people don't think Chris Weidman's very long. And then you look at his reach; it's like an 81-inch reach. It's like borderline John Jones territory. Like, what the fuck? But I don't think she'll be frustrated because Holly's not a pressure fighter. And the thing with Nunes, I think she has improved her gas tank. I mean, she went 5 rounds with Shevchenko and with Pennington. Granted, those were like slow-paced fights, but it showed improvement. But if you can take it to her, that's when I think her problem is that she tenses up and she just starts, maybe it's not a physical thing that she throws with all her might, but she just gets really in her own head and just starts going kind of crazy and fatigues herself. Just mentally. Yeah. So I don't think that'll be the case. I think I can see Holly having good moments, but the thing with Nunes is that she's a lot smarter with the striking too. That's a big reason of why she's so much better now, is that she's very economic. She's not just swinging punches. She's not just going crazy. She throws punches when they're necessary, and her feints are very very subtle. She doesn't throw these crazy feints to get crazy reactions. She throws big strikes, throws feints here and there, and then they start overreacting. Her opponents do, and then that's when she comes in with big counter shots.
Yeah, fair play, man. Okay, let's go to main event then. And Dana's been talking about removing Jon Jones's loss on his record. I don't know how they're going to do that, but he faces a tough opponent in Thiago Santos. But I mean, I got to be honest, guys, a guy he really should be beaten. I know Santos is in a bit of a run here, especially moving up from middleweight. We spoke about this a lot in the podcast. Depending on how Stipe and Cormier goes, this is what I've got, the feeling I've got going on. Depending on how that fight goes, I feel the stage is set here for Jones and Cormier at heavyweight MSG, which I'm sure is annually in November now, isn't it? So that's if all things play out right, I think that's the way this is going. But you know, it's MMA, man. Anything can happen. Let's see the panel thoughts. We'll start with Matthew this time. Matthew, your thoughts? Jones, I mean, does he walk through Santos here?
Does he walk through it is an interesting question. Will he win? Yes. I think he is far too well-rounded to be beaten by somebody who is very one-dimensional. While doing sort of, research before the show, I saw that Santos is actually a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but obviously his career is based around his striking. So to beat somebody like Jon Jones, you've got to equal him pretty much everywhere, I think, unless he gets a lucky shot. And I don't want to take anything away from Santos. He's done well to get to this point, but you kind of feel like you get that feeling that Jones is just taking each guy in the division one by one, not easily, but he's not really breaking into too much sweat about it.
Yeah.
You know, the way he controls the range as well is going to be huge here, because if you can't get close to Jones to hit him, that power is wasted on Santos, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if Jones will be able to finish Santos. He's a big guy, he's a thick guy, but I think it'll probably go to a decision win for Jones. But like I said, Santos can switch off anybody's lights out instantly, but you've got to get close to him first. So it'll be interesting, and I like your prediction, John, about the MSG card in November. If Jones will probably win this, it'll be interesting to see what happens with DC and Miocic. But it kind of feels like a fairy tale ending to the year. I know DC wanted to retire this year, so it kind of makes sense for DC to get a title defense in, and then have that big, you know, third rubber match with John Jones, and then he can, you know, walk off into the sunset saying, well, Jones is just better, or we can walk off and go, I finally beat him. So John Jones win.
John Jones win for sure, man. Kev, floor is yours, my friend. Is that a foregone conclusion? Then maybe give me some of your thoughts on another fight with Cormier, mate.
Well, absolutely, it's a foregone conclusion, John. I mean, talk about Jon Jones. The deal about this card in its entirety is that you got two of, if not the best fighters in the women's and the men's in the history of the sport. So, you know, that's enough to tune in. But Thiago Santos shouldn't be getting a shot at Jon Jones, man. As far as the fight's going to go, I mean, it's going to go whatever way Jon Jones wants it to go, man. We talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
The guy who fights, the guy that makes you fight his fight. Jon Jones is the best at it. Best you ever seen. So, you know, is Thiago Santos going to land a bomb? Nah, man. I mean, Jon Jones will stay at his range, do what he wants to do. I mean, you could see this thing go all 5 rounds like he took Anthony Smith, or you could see if Santos engages too much, he's going to get stopped. And you know, as far as wanting to see DC and Jon Jones, man, I'm kind of right along the lines of what my man Jon Jones is saying. He's beat him twice. I mean, there's no reason for us to watch this a third time. He's not going to go up to heavyweight. I really don't think it's going to happen. I mean, he has I wouldn't say he has business to take care of down here, but I mean, he's comfortably making the weight. It would be a bad idea to transition at this point in his career when the guy is still so young, got so much ahead of him. I mean, go up to heavyweight when you're ready to go up to heavyweight. Fight down here and make your money while you can. I mean, there's still Dominic Reyes. You know, he's 11-0. I'm not sure how much Johnny Walker, if he had a loss or not too long ago, I want to say.
No, it was his celebration that was a loss. That's what happened.
Was that? Yeah, that's what happened. He fucked himself up doing the worm. Yeah. I don't know, but I mean, he's a character, you know. Shit.
Yeah, man, I like him.
Jon Jones can fight another time this year. He said he wants to fight 3 times next year. I mean, there's people out there for him to fight. He doesn't need Daniel Cormier. Let his little punk ass retire in November and quit bringing this shit up, man. If he wants to fight Jon Jones, it's kind of like, hey, man, I'll tell you, like Conor McGregor. You know, he lost at welterweight against Diaz, right? And he wanted to fight him against welterweight. If you want to beat him, come down there and beat him where you lost to him at, you know? And Jon Jones does not need Daniel Cormier. I mean, I cannot reiterate this enough. He does not. And Daniel Cormier needs Jon Jones. And I mean, hell, he don't really need him anyways. And he's just going to get his ass knocked out if they fight again any damn way. I don't need to see all the hype and all the bullshit. I'm done with DC. Let him retire. You know, this never was the DC era. DC was just a side note in the Jon Jones era. That's it. And that's how we'll be looking at it 10 years from now. There'll be another guy that comes along that does something similar to I don't know. Maybe I'm going off the rails here, but
but come on, Kev, you got to give DC's props. I mean, Jon Jones aside, I mean, the guy's a phenomenal fighter, though, right?
He's just not Jon Jones.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. You know, he's not Jon Jones. You know, as far as
he's not
the things I don't like personally that he does, man. I mean, yeah, he's a great fighter. I love his commentary. And, you know, he's like Paulie Malignaggi said he's retiring after he caught that beating in the bare knuckle fight. And I said, you know, he's not necessarily retiring because I probably still got to listen to his ass on Showtime every now and then. But DC, come retire and talk all you want, man. I love it when he is not so much in the studio, but whenever he's calling fights, he gives you more insight than any other commentator could ever on wrestling. Yeah, he has a way that he explains things that someone that doesn't know shit about anything, which I fall into sometimes. He can help you out.
Yeah, man, he's good. He's good at breaking it down for sure. Victor, we saw how easily we spoke about it. Jones dispatched Gustafsson, man. That was another one that comes to mind. I think it's fair to say he took his foot off the gas with the Smith fight, but still got the job done, man. Is this fight with Santos here? Is it Jones' fight to throw away?
Well, I just love what Kevin has said, that this is a foregone conclusion. I'd love to see him on, like, you see these big shows on like ESPN and like they talk about on roundtables and stuff. Like, this is why they fight. We never know. Jones, Kevin's like, yeah, he's gonna win. We don't even have to do this shit.
And it's really not a question. I mean, and I'm thinking, can he land a lucky shot? And I said yes when I was talking. Fuck no, he can't, man. I mean, you seen what Gustafsson put on him. There ain't no fucking chance he's landing any kind of shot, let alone a lucky one that's gonna knock Jon Jones cold out, man. He could take some punishment.
Kevin is as sure that Jon Jones will win as he is that the sun will rise tomorrow. Maybe even more.
Yeah, man. For sure.
Yes, more. I would say definitely more.
But that was funny. But no, yeah, I got to go with Jones here as much as I don't want to. I've been kind of singing Thiago Santos' praises lately. I was really, really, really impressed with the Jan Blachowicz fight because he showed an ability to counter, which he's basically never shown ever in his fighting career. And honestly, if this was anyone else, including DC, who I actually do like, if this was any other light heavyweight, I would probably say that he was probably going to knock him out. The thing with Jon Jones is that he never rushes and does dumb shit like that. Had I at least seen that a few times in his career, I'd probably have some hesitancy. But, he's been talking so much that his boxing's improved and stuff. And then in the what was the last fight with Anthony Smith, he threw like this wild haymaker, totally off balance. Boxing is still not good, but it doesn't matter because his kicks more than make up for it. And I think it's just going to be hard for Thiago Santos to get in range. I think he will go berserk at one point and probably clip him. I don't know if he'll hurt him, drop him, stagger him. I don't know, but I just don't know if he can keep that up, keep him some kind of relentless aggression and more than anything precision to actually put a hurting on Jones. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Jones here. I more than anything want and expect a fun fight. I want it to be more fun than the Anthony Smith fight, which isn't asking for a lot, but I don't think that's gonna happen because Thiago Santos is a crazy, daring fighter, and Anthony Smith, he kind of showed that he was, but I understand why he kind of froze up in that point. But Thiago Santos, I think he's willing to take a knockout loss or a submission loss before he takes a boring decision loss. So I think it'll be a fun fight for however long it lasts. But yeah, I think Jon Jones is gonna keep that belt.
I mean, I got to concur. It's nothing but Jones for this one, and then kick back and see what happens for MSG. I mean, I'm obviously I'm open to. I'm not that stupid that I know anything can happen in MMA, but it's Jon Jones we're talking about in it, and there's nothing that's making me think that anything else is going to change. But guys, fine. Go for it, mate.
Oh, sorry. Just regarding the MSG card, I think the only thing that DC has for his argument is the fact that the last fight between Jones and DC got ruled out as no contest because of Jones's popping. So that's the only argument I think DC would have. Hearing everybody else, chat about the fact that Jon Jones has beaten DC twice, yes, but I think DC just has that one argument to fire back.
I want to add something here too. I just have a question for Kevin. Kevin, did you spike Sean O'Malley's drink with Austrian or whatever to show that pulsing is real? Like, see, it's not just Jon Jones.
The fuck.
I wish I had those type of connections.
Yeah, because if you guys don't know, Sean O'Malley, he was gonna fight on this card and he got pulled not by USADA. Yeah, he got pulled not by USADA, but by the Nevada Commission. Because the drug that he tested for last year is showing up in the system again, just like the whole Jon Jones deal.
The old picogram.
Kevin,
in a tiny amount.
To prove a point.
I'm pretty sure we're talking apples to oranges on this. I cannot confirm it or not. I'm not an expert. I just listen to what the experts say and go with that. When you have a question about something you don't know, it's kind of like that old movie, that line off Snatch. You call somebody that knows about these sort of things.
What movie that is. Guys, time for my final part of the show and some fan questions. Just a reminder to the panel, one rule, don't wait your turn, the floor is yours. I was going to start with Facebook, but my man Kevin Jones has sent in a question. You've graciously jumped in for our boy Don Wilson. Kev, I've taken the question out, but if you still want to pitch it, it's all yours, brother.
I say fire it away. I put a little thought into this deal.
Go for it.
Well, oh hell, dude, I don't got it all written down, but we just got experts. I mean, we were just talking about it. There's all sorts of experts, scientists, athletic commissions. Everybody's saying that this is a new thing in their testing, that they can pick up picograms of M3 metabolites or some bullshit. Whatever they're saying, it makes a whole lot of sense to me, even though I don't know anything about it. I just don't understand why everybody is still down on Jon Jones about this deal, man. I mean, we just saw Yoel Romero get a fucking fat ass paycheck from the tainted supplement company that he had. So why is it so fucking far fetched that the same type of thing is happening to other fighters, that there is tainted supplements, that companies are cutting corners and they might not even know what the fuck they're putting into this shit? It's a tricky thing going on right now. But one thing I do know is Jon Jones is back in full effect. The fucking guy is probably the most busiest man in prize fighting today, and he is going to set him up and knock him down.
He makes it so easy for people to hate him. I think he just embraces it so much that he just makes it so easy. But I think on this podcast in the past, I've said many things about Jones and DC and the whole GOAT argument between the two and others. But I think in Octagon only, Jon Jones is by far the greatest of all time. The way that he can adapt to any situation is great, but he just makes it so easy to hate him. I think that's what it is.
I think in particular with this drug stuff, it's hard with him because he's popped twice before. And that's what's really puts it. For me, this is why I always talk shit about him. It's probably mostly because of hitting a pregnant lady and all the terrible shit he's done outside the cage. But as far as in cage,
like she was pregnant before that happened.
He didn't know. Obviously, I'm sure if he.
If he would have picked out somebody else, I'm sure she wouldn't have been pregnant, bro.
I'm sure if he knew Kevin.
God. Oh my God.
Should have had that baby on board sign, huh? He would have just pumped on those brakes. None of this shit would have.
Hell yeah. I mean, he would have. That's why they have the sign.
Oh God.
Something's making the clip show out of that little deal.
All of this is the clip show. Well, I mean, I know what you're saying, Matthew. Like, it's so many things. It's funny, there's so many things to dislike, and they're all outside the cage. You're right. And like we said, hitting the pregnant lady and the pop drug test, but the pop drug test as well. Like UFC 200 main event, big deal, man. Any other fighter, and Dana's saying bye bye. You know what I mean? So it's this special treatment that he gets as well. That doesn't really endear him to fans. There's that in the mix with everything else. That's why he gets the treatment that he does, I think.
And then
he is different now, though. He is kind of changed a little bit, but I forget which fight it was. But in a press conference with Jon Jones, I think it was with the DC, the second fight, he turned around to DC and said, "I beat your ass after a weekend on cocaine alone." It was just that one comment. It was almost like he showed no remorse for anything that he's done. That's my one sort of just thing that I hate about him, that he said that. But he has shown to be a bit more remorseful now, and he does show to be a bit more of a reformed character and a lot more focused on his fight game,
Yeah, I can never buy that shit with him.
Same, I don't buy that. He's a good politician.
Yeah, exactly. He'd be great at this shit. And you know what? I wish he did run, because Kevin might actually vote against Trump in this.
I'll tell you what. I'll sum it up, man. Hate is always more loud than love. You know what I mean? And equating it on baseball terms, there's a lot of people that hate the Yankees out there. They still sell the most baseball caps out of any fucking club in the major leagues. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But just the last thing on it is just I think the big thing with him, as far as why people doubt him, is that is the previous two drug tests. Because this is a shocker here, but I'm not really giving a lot of room for Jones that he's innocent. He's done something in his past at one point or another. But the thing is with USADA, they've been so sketchy. The only thing I believe that USADA's done right is honestly catching TJ Dillashaw, because that seemed like it was like, you know, with a silver bullet, like bam, you got caught. EPO, especially with Nowitzki, he knows about that. You're not gonna fool him. But everything else, ostarine, peptides, trace minerals, all this shit that's coming out, like I don't know about any of that shit, and it seems like they're digging way too deep in something that's probably not even necessary. So yeah, Jon Jones has maybe caught a bad hand, but I also feel like he's done some fishy shit too, so it's kind of half and half. I'll at least give him that.
Fair play, man.
It's the first two letters in USDA, man. United States. The government got a hand in it. I don't know if we should trust it, man. I'm with you.
I can't comment on that, but I know my government's corrupt as fuck as well, so for what it's worth. Facebook, Jean J. Antonine says, who's speaking about Dana White trying to remove Jon Jones' loss on his record there. He says, he is undefeated. Tell me one fight he actually lost. He got disqualified. He didn't get beaten, did he? Oh, thoughts? Lost.
Sounds like that dumbass term champ everybody's saying now. And
I mean, the only thing you can kind of say is the first Gustafsson fight was close. I know some people say that he lost that fight, but I think those people are really, really biased. I mean, even me, who don't like Jon Jones, and I was going for Gustafsson there, I can admit that he lost, but it was close. But yeah, no, he's aside from that one, it's not been a competitive fight. The first DC fight was okay, really not that competitive though. And the second fight was to a point, and then we saw what happened, and then that's kind of just yeah.
Well, it's kind of like Jon Jones being stripped of titles over some bullshit. He's the champ, always been the champ. Didn't need to have the belt around his waist the whole time, man. And this notion that he has a loss on his record. I mean, he was beating his ass in that fight. I mean, we all watched it. There's fucked up shit that's decisions that happen every day in the world. There's a fucked up decision in a fight that happens. And, we just move forward like it's not there. I mean, the UFC is actually the best at doing that. I mean, they'll see a shitty decision. Dana White will say fucking at the post-fight press conference, like, is he still in line for a title shot? Yeah, we're just going to act like that shit didn't happen,
Yeah, I mean, that's how they treat it, right? I mean, I guess so. Tom Heffernan on Facebook, do UK fans avoid the new BT Sports pay-per-view package to make a stand, considering we are already paying for BT Sport? Also, MMA isn't as big here, and I fear pay-per-view will stifle it, losing casual fans.
Nah, I think, it's how often do we get these numbered pay-per-views anyway? We get them every couple of months, maybe once a month. It doesn't matter. I think I've seen a lot of people on Twitter say that they've already ended their subscription. It's like, well, cool, you're either going to lose out or you're going to find a really dodgy online stream where it's a horrible quality. I think real MMA fans, personally, if they can afford it, they'll pay for it if it's a good card. If not, you don't have to pay for it. I don't think it will affect that much. And I think people are looking to be really offended by it, but I'm not too bothered personally. I'm just going to pay if it's a really good card.
I got a thought and a question on it. I mean, the question is why. Well, first of all, the thought, man. I mean, you're not going to boycott anything. I mean, like you just said, people are going to pay or they're not going to pay. Welcome to wanting to watch this company that is worth $4 billion. They need to recoup some of this money some way. And then the question I had for you guys over there was, I mean, it's just I don't know. Coming from over here, I keep an eye on numbers and stuff because I'm always just kind of business minded. How many people are y'all show up to these shows whenever UFC does a big show over there in London? How many people pack in that place?
Oh, it does well, man. It sold out within like the hour for when it was here in Glasgow, in Scotland. It does well in London.
It sells out very.
Does well in Manchester.
It sells out very quickly. Yeah, it sells out very quickly. But I think an argument against it is that a lot of the tickets end up on resale sites. But if you look at the attendance anyway and look at the actual pictures of the arena, it's always packed. Yeah. And I think for UK fans, I think fill out the arena quicker. Like in some cards in the States, you don't see people really go into the arena until sort of the main card. But UK events usually have quite a full arena, even for the prelim.
It definitely depends on the venue over here. I mean, in Vegas, people are showing up for the main event only. I mean, the majority of them. and you have a car in Dallas. I mean, everybody's gonna be there pretty much on time. There will be some people showing up late, but now my question was really, I don't know, what these, I'm not familiar with the venues over there and how many people they hold, and because that's the number. I mean, you're doing money at the gate and you're doing money on pay-per-view. And, I don't know as much about the markets. I was just trying to understand, I mean, whenever I hear that it's not as popular over there in the States, I mean, I guess, I don't know exactly what that means, because I got a pretty good feel on it watching people come in and out of the bars. And, I mean, it's been dipping around here, man. I mean, it used to be that one in, one out at the bar whenever you'd go over there. And I remember when Demetrius Johnson and Jon Jones fought on the same cart, man, there was never a line at the door. No cover.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for the bars or anything, Kev, but I know like in attendance it's packed, and it does all the big cities in the UK, Liverpool, Manchester, London, Glasgow here in Scotland, and like Matthew says, man, there's rarely an empty seat in the house, but that's for in attendance. In terms of exposure and media, I mean, we've got this British Broadcasting Corporation, right? We need to pay a fee, and they control all the shit. This is like a government based thing, and it's so everything has to go through them. So if they're not into it, which the BBC aren't, they don't really follow it, then it's hard. It's still quite underground in terms of media exposure. The only way you're going to get it is on BT Sport, and if BT Sport didn't pick it up, fuck knows who else was going to. It probably would have went back to, like Matthew said, man, finding a dodgy online stream. It's the media exposure part of it that makes it still quite not as popular. Whereas in attendance, I can say that there's plenty of people still showing up for it.
Yeah, Kev, just to give you an actual number. So the fight night between Till and Masvidal, the attendance was 16,000 and the total gate amount was 2.4 million, which was 400,000 more than UFC 238 was. So, and the attendance was more. So for a fight night over here, we get a bigger gate amount and a bigger attendance.
Right on.
In London.
Fair play, man.
So...
I mean, that's big numbers for sure. It's just the consistency of it. I'm not buying the pay-per-view. No, there's no chance. I cancel my BT Sport. I'm one of those guys, I guess. But anyway, let's move on. We've got Brian Lacey who's asking, if Rockhold loses on Saturday, where does that leave him in both the middleweight and the light heavyweight divisions?
He's just going to be a light heavyweight. He's, as I've always said,
yeah, you're right.
Middleweight's going up to light heavyweight. Just fucking stay, man. And you know what? I wouldn't put it past Jan. Jan's a really, really good dude. He's not to be fucked with on the floor. Yes, I know Luke's a monster down there, but Jan's crafty, and he's pretty crafty with his striking too. I would not be surprised at all if Luke wins. If Luke loses, I'm sorry, and I think it'll be close if he loses. It might be close if he wins as well. But yeah, if he loses, they'll give him Eric Anders. They'll give him some other random dude that he can most likely easily beat. Misha Serkinov, Justin Ledet, and he'll be back on his way.
I think the UFC could do with Rockhold getting a win and putting a few wins together in the division, to be honest, because I think, Keva, you said there's a few people for Jon Jones to fight, but to my head, I think there's only about two, really, who in the top 15 who could realistically fight Jon Jones and have a case for a title shot. So if Luke Rockhold's quite a big name. It's quite a well-known name, especially in the world of MMA. So I think the UFC could really do with a new challenger coming into the division who already has quite a well-known name,
Mm-hmm. Luke, in my opinion, man, Luke Rockhold is spent. The dude is spent, man, and I think it's been a little bit. He's not going to be able to compete at the top of any division. I don't think middleweight or light heavyweight. I mean, I think Jon Jones has just run over him, but I do think you got a good point that it's a name, and you're right. There's if you line up, like I said, man, I think Dominic Reyes is right in there, and he wants a shot. I mean, he's young. Put him in there. Put him, take that O off his record. Maybe they can fight again sometime later down the road. Johnny Walker's definitely a character. I mean, I think you throw him in there, and by that time those two fights happen, we're going to be, a third of the way through next year probably. And any of his next two fights. So yeah, I mean they can definitely generate a name like that, and put some hype behind the fight. But it's a Jon Jones show, baby.
That's it. Hey, Brian follows up with, if you were to pick one movie title to sum up the career of Jon Jones, which one would it be? Oh, on the spot.
The Greatest Story Ever Told.
There you go. There you go.
Like that, Vic?
Yeah, John mentioned this before we went on air, and I've been thinking this whole time. I couldn't come up with nothing, so I give you props on that one.
I came up with it right after he said it. On the movie poster, you could have him, with his beard grown out, standing on top of water.
There you go, man.
Literally.
Kev has given this way too much thought, I think. Yeah,
My mind works really quickly when I got a good idea.
That's brilliant, mate. Let's see. Patrick McKinnon asks, who will Askren fight next after he wrestle fucks Masvidal?
Well, that ain't gonna happen.
Oh.
No. Well, I mean, obviously, if he wins, he's gonna be for a title shot. If he loses, I'd gotta assume it'd be the loser of Lawler Covington. I'm sure that'd be a hell of a, that's a hell of a sell right there. A rematch with Lawler, which everyone wants to see, or Covington, whom everybody hates even more than Askren. So you're just gonna hate watch the fuck out of that one.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, man. Those three names is where it's at. I'd love to see him against Lawler again. The promotion alone for Covington versus Askren would be gold. And yeah, man, I would love to see him get a beating from Kamaru Usman. Shit, why wait? The dude's so full of himself. He'd think that 21-0 shit. After I do think he beats Masvidal, nothing's a given. But yeah, take that in there, Kamaru Usman. How that guy's been looking. How he's fucking progressed. That's a
monster.
That's a real world champion right there. If you want to see what you're all about, get in there with that motherfucker.
People seem to be completely forgetting that the former champ Tyron Woodley. I think that'd be a great fight. I think Woodley and Askren had a little bit of go between the two before they lost the title.
They are training partners, right?
They would never.
Okay.
I thought they fought. I think they might have went to the same college too, man. I mean, I know they've been around each other forever.
Yeah, they're both from St. Louis.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't see that.
But hell yeah, I'd love to see it. Tyron Woodley would beat that ass. That's why the fight won't happen. He don't want to put that beating on his buddy.
Sweet pal. Let's move to Twitter questions then, guys, before we wrap up. At Rich81, Joe Benavidez needs to shut up and realise the only UFC gold he'll ever touch is Megan O'Leary. So I didn't know those two were married until this question was sent in. Is that true?
Fuck that. Man, he's wrong on both accounts. I'll leave it at that. Joseph Benavidez looked fucking great last night. Nobody should be downplaying what the fuck he did, man. He dominated, man. He looked great. I definitely think he could give Henry Cejudo a run at that weight class right now. That'd be a great fight.
I keep doubting him, and he keeps winning. So it's like, and then in the first fight he won, but most people, including myself, thought Cejudo should have won. So I would favor Cejudo, but should Benavidez win, I wouldn't be surprised, man. He keeps pulling it off. I don't know how, but keeps doing
Benavidez looks to me like he has lost his step. But man, when it comes time, when he is in his zone, man, and he's fighting his fight, he always seems to get there. When I said this when the division came out, it's funny. I was just mentioning on the show this morning that this is still an issue. When they created the flyweight division, I said, man, them two guys are the best. Johnson and Benavidez, they're the best in the division. They should just have them fight like a best of 7 series over the next year and a half, and then call it a day.
7 series.
And now they're still talking about getting rid of the division. But I mean, Joseph Benavidez, the dude looked great, man. He's constantly been number one. To me, the guy's damn near been number one in the division, right behind Johnson the whole time until Henry Cejudo dethroned him. And there was one point in time that he knew he wasn't ready to fight Johnson again, and now he feels like he's ready. The guy's been around forever, been paying his dues, and been winning. And I think Joseph Benavidez definitely deserves a shot, has a chance of winning the fight. And maybe Megan Olivia is not that fine, anyways.
Damn. I'm more a Laura Sanko guy, but still, I'll give props to Olivia.
Yes, good looking at all, but she's TV ready.
Oh, brilliant. She's got that 4 head going on, or is it an 8 head? At JLOLS4, after last night, and now everyone is calling JDS washed up. These excuses never stop. Give Francis his credit and move on. Ngannou main event at MSG for the heavyweight title. Ooh, I don't know.
Ngannou is just, man, this is what I said on my podcast this week, and it's true. I was like, all right, if he loses, we'll find something out. If he wins the way he's been winning in 30 seconds, a minute, knockout, we're back to square one. We literally don't know anything about Ngannou. Like, he might as well be a UFC newcomer. We don't know anything about him. Aside from that, he doesn't have a good gas tank, which, big surprise, look how big the motherfucker is. Yeah. And he can't really wrestle. Surprising, not very surprising given that he's a striker from Africa who's not really known for their wrestling. So we're back to square one. If Stipe and Cormier are going to go at it, and the winner of that fight should beat him. Stipe already beat him, and I don't see why DC wouldn't. It's just like, I think people are really still mad about the Derek Lewis fight too. That still doesn't help.
So bad.
but it's like, literally, see, even in that, he had a 3-round fight. We should be like, well, he's got a gas tank. We know he can wrestle. We know he can throw leg kicks. We don't know shit. Nothing happened in that fight. So whether it's a 3-round fight or a first-round knockout, we know the same amount about him as we did 3 years ago.
Is it not just sorry, mate, on you go.
It's almost like the Thiago Santos sort of situation. You know what he's known for. The minute you take him into deep waters and take him past that round 1 and 2 and take him down, that's it. And that's the way we predicted the Jones Santos fight, and that's probably how you predict the Ngannou Miocic / DC fight in the future. Yeah,
Ngannou, insert name, is a bit like Shane Carwin for me. At the first round, it's terrifying. Beyond that, fucking, it's game over. We saw that at the Brock Lesnar fight, and maybe he's obviously got more grappling skills Carwin has than Ngannou. Carwin had than Ngannou has, but it's that do or die in the first round of it, and then it's a different fighter after that.
Well, I think I'm going to agree and disagree with you guys. Two of my most favorite things to do on the show is to defend and to clown. Right. And I like them both equally. I think that y'all are right. Y'all are right about all these things. There's a lot of things that we don't know about Ngannou, but we do know the one thing that we need to know. The fucking dude is dangerous. A blind man could be sitting ringside and tell you that this fucking guy is something else besides everybody else. Just the sound on his punches alone. He threw a shot last night. It was a fucking really wide fucking right hook, and it hit Santos in his right shoulder, man. So opposite side of his body from where the punch was thrown, and just the sound coming off him, hitting him in the shoulder, sounded different than some of the big guys when they throw a shot and it connect right on the head or even on the gloves. I mean, every shot he throws, it has a different sound to it. After when the fight came on last night, I said, watch out, baby. This fight is going to go no more than a minute and a half. We went a minute and 11 seconds. And I said, man, he might only hit him with 8 shots. He hit him with 9. That is all you need to know. The man is dangerous. Yeah. And if there's a chance he can do that in every fight, and the record he's put together, the young age he's at, yes, give him another fucking title shot. Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know. Derek Lewis stings in the memory, though. It's still. Do you know what it is for me, man? Like, I was trying my best to stay up for that pay-per-view, and I caught some 40 winks, but my buddy stayed up. I was staying at a pal's flat, and I said, wake me up when that fight comes on, because I do not want to miss. Out of all the fights, I do not want to miss that fight. And yeah, the rest is history.
Let's not forget. And not to badmouth my dude Derek Lewis from Houston, Texas, man, the black beast in this hoe. But he has a limited skill set, and he's been struggling with back injuries. When you don't have a dance partner, it's hard to make a good fight. Yeah. And yes, I mean, you can put a lot of blame on Ngannou as well for that fight being boring, man. I mean, and the other thing would say that you'd have to respect the power that both these guys got, and sometimes that's how heavyweight fairs go. But he was a young man coming off a loss, and admittedly was trigger shy in the fight. People move on, man. Anderson Silva's had some off days.
It's true, man. Absolutely true. Last one from Twitter before we wrap up, guys, and it comes from @Els4Elf, good friends of the show. She says, if Trump can set foot in North Korea and make history, then Santos can set a foot on the picogram of Jones and make history too. It's simple, people, and new. I'm not buying it, man.
Not going to happen, is it? Let's all be honest.
Nah. It's not.
Yeah, man. If he wants to make history, maybe he should, I don't know, take a trip to the South Pole and see how long he can stay there or something. I don't know what hadn't been done, but what he's going to attempt to do on Saturday, he's not going to accomplish.
Speaking of North Korea, I kept looking at Joby yesterday at Joe Benavidez. He was rocking that Kim Jong-un haircut, man. I was like, damn, that's straight up Asian dictator haircut.
Rocket Man.
Yeah. Yep.
That's it, man.
That should be his new nickname.
There you go. What do you have it, guys? UFC 239 just around the corner. What a night of fights we have lined up for this weekend. Looking forward to even more, having heard your questions and hearing the thoughts of our panel tonight. Don't forget, we're back next week on the Roundtable. We'll be reacting to UFC 239. Kevin Jones will be returning for that one. We've got John Ferguson of MMA Huddle and Mr. Bob Carson of the Carson's Corner podcast joining us on the Roundtable. But in the meantime, I'd like to thank our panel here today, starting with Mr. Matthew Penny. Matthew, a massive thank you for your time, sir. Let our people know where to check out Purely MMA.
Yeah, thanks for having me back on, mate. It's a pleasure to have you back on the podcast. So you can catch me at Purely MMA on Twitter and purelymma.co.uk. The website isn't very active at the moment, but we're going to change that over the summer. And also, I'm going to be experimenting something a little bit different, and it's on Twitch. Twitch.tv. You can catch me at MattPennyPFC. I'm going to be experimenting with some live commentary and discussion during live events.
Nice.
You can't show the picture of it actually happening, but you can show the commentary, the audio. So follow me on Twitch.tv, MattPennyPFC. I'm going to do some commentary and discussion points. So thanks for having me on, John, and here's to the next time.
Pleasure, my man. To Kevin Jones, Kev, a massive thank you as always. Let our listeners know about the main event, and always a pleasure to get your time, sir.
Always a pleasure, man. I miss it every week that I don't get to do it. I will be back next week, as he said. So here's my plug. The main event is our show. We are live from 8 to 9 on Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com. You can catch West Texas' only live boxing MMA show. If you didn't know, now you know. Keep up every week from 8 to 9.
Finally, to Victor Vargas. Victor, a massive thank you to you, sir, and let everyone know where to check out ifoxwithjuice podcast and all the good stuff you do online, my friend.
Thank you, John, as always. Thanks for having me. You can find me at Twitter, Juice_MMA. You can find at ifoxwithjuice also on Twitter. You should follow that one because I sometimes forget to post the links on my own Twitter account, so you might want to follow that one for the podcast links. We're also on MMApodcast.com. That's like an aggregator website. It has a bunch of MMA websites. Almost anyone you can think of is there. And we're on Stitcher, iTunes, Spotify, anywhere you can find us. And keep an eye out, especially on my social media. I should be putting out an article this week about Holly Holm and Amanda Nunes, so keep an eye out for that.
Definitely check it out. And if you've liked this podcast, be sure to subscribe. All the platforms, man. Just search for Martial Arts Chat. Follow us on Twitter at Martial Arts Chat, or you can like us on Facebook. It's facebook.com/Martial Arts Chat. And I'm Jon McElroy, and I'll catch you next time on the Martial Arts Chat podcast.
Hello, I'm Kate Borsay, host of The Offside Rule. You may have heard there's a Women's World Cup going on, but did you know we're doing daily podcasts throughout the tournament, bringing you the hottest takes and all the talking points from the world's biggest footballing stage. And that's all in the company of former Lionesses, voices from around the world and on the ground in France. You can find us only on Spotify, so search for The Offside Rule and join us every day during the Women's World Cup.